Hello? Hello?
Podcast Network Asia.
It's not just a destination, it's a journey as well. I think that's the main thing about it. The enjoyment of getting on, your bike and just going and then worrying about the destination later on.
Hey folks, this is Caco and Jinno.
And this is Gina Rufino.
You are listening to Torque of the Town. It's Wednesday, everyone. Thank you for joining us. This is Torque of the Town. My name is Caco and Jinno.
And I'm Gina Rufino.
Today on our show, we're going to be talking about, it's going to be a debate more than a talk because
Really?
Gino and I are going to go up against each other talking about leisure or vacation. What would you take, a bike or a car? Now, everybody knows that Gino is the host of AutoDeal.com.ph or AutoDeal's channel on YouTube, and I am the host of AutoDeal.com.ph on our YouTube channel. And we do have a great following, but we would like it if you guys would like and subscribe to our channels because, like I always say, we do like creating our videos just for you. But today on our podcast, we are, like I said, we're going to be talking about what would you take, your car or your bike, if you're off on a vacation or just sort of like a quick ride out of town.
Well, before that, we also have to plug our social media sites.
Oh, that's right.
Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. It's MotoDeal.ph and AutoDeal.ph.
That's right. Gino has an Instagram page, or rather an Instagram account as well, which is...
Gina Rufino.
Oh, really? How original.
So creative.
Absolutely. You guys now know where we get our creativity from.
And the Facebook page is Gino Moto. That's the one that's probably a little bit more for this particular podcast.
Gino Moto. So that doesn't give away at all that you are into motorcycles.
No, not at all.
Right? Not at all.
Gino Moto.
Gino. Cha-ching! If there was a laugh track, there'd be one right about now. But there isn't one, so we're going to continue. So again, today's debate between Gino and I is going to be whether or not you should take a car or a bike when you're getting out of town. And we'd love to hear your comments about this. Do let us know on our social media pages, as Gino mentioned. And perhaps we can bring it up on our next show, which happens Wednesdays at 10 a.m.
Yes, indeed.
So we're going to start it off by saying this. Imagine yourself to be either single or with your family, whatever it may be, but your preference on going out of town. And I'm talking about at least 30 kilometers to 60 kilometers minimum away from your home, be it inside the NCR, just outside, whatnot. But you're going to be traveling. And would you rather be on a motorcycle
Okay, before
or in
you
a car?
Before you proceed, we have to eliminate family.
Eliminate family.
Yeah, because automatically motorcycles will lose.
My wife already is going, I don't like that, man. Eliminate my family.
for the purposes of this conversation.
Okay.
We take that factor out.
So dehado na ako.
No. I mean, there's still other factors. There's still other points that you can make with taking a car instead of a bike.
Okay.
But for this particular one, yeah, for you, we can't consider that as a I guess a point that you have to make. So we cannot use that as something.
Okay. I will agree to that.
Thank you.
But we cannot.
You're so kind.
We cannot remove the factors of
Everything else is fine.
everything else is fine.
Everything else is fine.
Okay, because I was gonna put in you can't remove weather.
Sure.
You got to keep weather in there.
Yeah.
Okay, so first out, I'm gonna say that I'm team car.
Yeah.
Gina is obviously team motorcycle.
Yeah.
And then for fun, let's just switch it around a little bit later.
Okay.
Let's see if we can convince each other that our ride or each other's ride is actually better.
Sure.
So I'm going to go with a car simply because it obviously shields you from the sun, the rain, the dirt, the grime that you get, the leather neck that you get from a motorcycle. You don't get any libug underneath. Your fingernails don't turn black. You don't necessarily smell like an exhaust when you get somewhere. You don't get as Jabbar in a car as you would inside on a motorcycle. I mean, you do get wind up against you, but inside a car, you can put the vents of the air conditioning straight into your armpits.
Sure.
And sort of like, and since you're alone, whether you fart on a bike or fart in a car, if you're alone, you're fine, right?
Yeah, sure.
I don't know why that came up,
I'm
but
not too sure either. That's a bizarre way of thinking.
it just lets you know what it is exactly I do inside an automobile when I'm by myself. Leather seats. Ooh.
Yeah. So if you're a manufacturer that loans Caco cars, you know what you're getting.
Yeah, you need to like not just body wash the outside, but if you can shampoo even the leather seats inside, do so. So, okay, I'm going to stick with obviously cars because of what I just mentioned. And then there's the aspect of safety.
Yes.
It's much safer inside a box rolling on 4 tires than it is on a popsicle stick that has 2 tires.
Okay.
And then there is cargo.
Yeah, okay.
I've got much more cargo if I'm going out, whether I'm alone or not. As you mentioned, we're going to stick to being alone. If I get to a certain area that's anything that piques my interest that I would like to purchase, it would be a no-brainer for me to purchase that particular item, be it a gnome that's the size of your glasses or a water buffalo that you just want to load inside your car. Why you would load a water buffalo, I have no idea. But point being is that I've got cargo. And then there's the fact that you're just less stressed, really.
Okay.
Your legs are, in a relaxed position. Your body's in a relaxed position. You're sitting in a proper chair. You've got a radio to keep you company. It's just quiet and simple and freeing.
Freeing. You're using freeing for a car. Okay.
Yes, I am using freeing for a car because, when you first purchase an automobile, that's what that automobile really signifies, that you've got the freedom to do so. You don't have the right to use the roads, but now you have the privilege to be able to use the roads and go as far as possible. And that so far is my first few arguments.
Okay.
That a car would definitely be better than a motorcycle when you're going out of town.
See, okay. The mere fact that you limited it to, 30 kilometers? Is that what you said?
Yeah, well, minimum.
Minimum 30 kilometers.
Yeah.
That fact alone, that you said 30 kilometers, is already, for me anyway, negative towards the cars.
Why so?
Because you're not even thinking, for anybody that rides big bikes, 30 kilometers is nothing. Like in the morning, we will ride 100 kilometers to get coffee.
Because you guys are nuts.
You know what I mean? 30 kilometers. So that fact alone, that you said 30 kilometers, is already like, it seems like it's a chore to get to this location, to get to this destination, to
I
get to
hear
this
you.
vacation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'm going to end up going here. I'll take my car. It's going to take me about 2 hours to get to whatever. Sure, you can pack whatever you want in the back seat or whatever. But the whole point of riding a bike out of town, the destination is just a part of it. The journey is the bigger part of the reason why you take that bike going out. And you did say it's not as comfortable. You're not in the, exposed to the elements, the safety factor. Sure, that's all well and good. But the sheer freedom and joy that you get from getting out of your house, going through, well, maybe the edge of traffic is not fun, but once you get past that and you're on the open road and it's just you, the bike, the road. There is nothing in this English vocabulary I can think of that can describe that moment when you're on the road and you feel like honestly, it kind of feels like you're flying.
Wow.
It kind of gives you that sensation. Yes, you can't bring as much stuff with you, sure. Even if you have saddlebags, and I don't particularly like using a backpack when I'm riding, but you can have a backpack on. But all those factors, what you said are the negatives. Actually, for me, is the positive.
Really?
Yeah. There's a sense, and for anybody who doesn't ride, I know it's a little bit difficult to imagine it. Because it's a feeling that you need to experience in order to really understand. And yeah, the safety issue is true. But when you get on the open road, just remember also that it's actually safer to be on, let's say, S-Lex or N-Lex than it is to be on EDSA.
I understand.
Because the drivers, the other motorists on the expressways, more often than not will stay in their lane.
Okay.
And if you're just following the speed limit anyway, you'd be able to avoid any potential danger. That's why there's a speed limit. That's why 100 kilometers per hour is the speed limit, so that it gives you enough reaction time, whether you need to slow down or avoid anything else on the road or an incident happens in front of you.
Yeah.
So I think my counter to your initial argument about taking cars out is that it's not just where you're going in. It's the whole process of getting there. It's the freedom that you get. So basically what I'm trying to get at is, sure, the destination given na yan. You're going to get there, you're going to enjoy whatever it is you're going to go to. Whether it's, I don't know, let's say La Union, whether you're going to go to the beach or you're going to go to Subic or maybe somewhere down south. You're going to enjoy there, but in the car, do you really enjoy going there? Sure, you're relaxed, you're listening to this podcast. Of course, what else would you listen to in a car, right? You should listen to this podcast. But on a bike, going there, the fun factor is exponentially more than it is in a car. And from somebody who has done both, I can tell you it's not even close. Like, if you give me the option to either drive up to Baguio or ride up to Baguio, I would ride. I don't care about if it rains. Sure, I'll welcome the rain, as long as it's not
torrential.
Not naman typhoon, hurricane levels, no.
Yeah.
But I would welcome. Sure, it'll actually cool you down every so often. And then aside from that, the journey is the beauty part of it, because in a bike you feel like you're in that setting. Whether you're going through the twisties, you're going up and down the zigzag in Baguio, you're even on the expressway, you feel that sense of like, hey, I am part of this earth. I am part of this whole moment. This moment is something that I enjoy. So the whole process, the whole journey, it's you enjoy it from start to finish. Whereas in a car, you'll really enjoy it when you get to the destination.
Okay.
And that's my biggest counter to your initial argument.
Would I be correct to assume that you are responding in that manner because you're probably thinking of just a normal 4-door sedan? Is that
okay?
Would that be correct? Because
Sure. I know where you're getting at.
Because the experiences that you were talking about, be it carving the twisties, long straights on the highway, getting to 100 kilometers per hour immediately, and like in a snap, like a motorcycle can. The same thing can be said about a sports car as well.
Okay.
And not just a 2-door sports car that will cost you an arm and a leg to purchase, but there are other automobiles out there with large capacity engines, a great suspension that can get you there in a snap. Sure. And at the same time, that same visceral experience that you have with a motorcycle, there are cars that do also give visceral experiences, like the recent review that we did of the Nissan 370Z. It is
great car, by the way.
Great car. Lots of fun. Not so great in traffic, I gotta admit. But inside, or the trip or the journey that you just mentioned, it gives you that feedback. You are, like you said, one with the earth. You're planted. When you take a turn, there's the fact that you turn with the automobile. When you accelerate, you feel that acceleration, that it buries you a little bit inside the chair.
Yeah.
So there is that.
Sure, but here's my counter to that.
Okay.
You're limited to 100 kilometers per hour.
Are you not limited to 100 kilometers per hour on a motorcycle?
Absolutely. But the feeling of 100 kilometers per hour on a motorcycle is different than in a car.
I will agree to that. Okay.
So you're saying that if you bring a sports car, you should get the same sensation, but you don't. Because you're still going 100 kilometers. If you're following the law, which you should, I know a bunch of people out there probably don't, but then you probably should.
There's probably people out there going, this Jinno guy's lying. Ass off, man.
But if you're following the speed limit,
Okay.
you can take a Vios 100 kilometers per hour.
Yes.
Whether it's a Vios or a Ferrari, at 100 kilometers per hour, you're going 100 kilometers per hour.
Okay.
The joy that you get going 100 kilometers per hour on a Vios or on a Ferrari, and the joy that you would get going 100 kilometers per hour on a motorcycle, that probably, you know what, if I were to rank that, number 1 would be the motorcycle, number 2 might be the Vios, and then number 3 might be the Ferrari. Specifically the 100 kilometer per hour limit. Because the Vios is probably more comfortable than a Ferrari.
Yeah.
Right? So that's what I'm saying. Like, you will get more thrill and from the voyage, taking a bike, especially if you're following the
Speed limit.
because you can take a 458 or whatever other supercar that you want to take out there,
Yeah.
and gun it. And sure, that can give you some sort of thrill, absolutely, 100%. But you're breaking the law. you're not, right? So it's not as let's hope and assume that everybody out there follows these rules and regulations that we have. If you do, I don't see it as a contest at all that the bike is going to be more enjoyable.
I understand when you said that there is more thrill in a
Yeah.
bike, but does the thrill really outweigh, I hate to
what?
deviate, but does it outweigh safety? Because for me, when you're going out, you want to be able to get back home.
Sure.
Want to be able to get back home in one piece. And there's peace of mind for, again, you said you're driving out, right? But you do got to come home to someone or something, even if it's a dog, dude. Right?
Plants.
Plants.
Plant count.
Plantitos and whatnot. They still got to come home to that cactus that will never give them love, but it's staring at them every time they walk through the door saying, hey, where you been? Oh, I'm glad you're home. What more, a dog, right? But there's that factor of just what if.
Sure.
And a car will always cover that what if factor.
Well, maybe not always, but
More often than not than a motorcycle.
Higher probability.
I'll agree to that. Yeah. So it will cover the what if question or probability more than a motorcycle.
Sure.
And that, I think you cannot put a price on that.
Well, okay. Sure that there is truth to that, right? I mean, it's the safety factor. It's not. I don't think that argument is probably not close, and I think that the car wins in that department. But what was that saying? Nobody builds ships so that they can be in the pier, right? I don't know if I got that saying proper or correct, but you get the way you get the point. You get the point that that we're not. I'm not saying that we're not meant to be safe, but on a bike, you should be able to control what you can control. You should be able to be as safe as you can be, and eliminate as much of the risk factors as you can.
Yeah.
And I'd be lying if I were to say that even a smidge of that thrill is because of the danger.
You're probably right.
There's a little bit of that
Probably
there.
right.
Aside from feeling, because riding a bike, your senses are so heightened. The sense of feel, hearing, sound, everything, maybe except for taste. Even smell.
Open your mouth at 100 kilometers per hour. You'll taste something, man.
Because the smell, there is the sense of the smell in the city.
Cow dung when you pass it through the fields.
Sometimes that informs you, that tells you, hey, I'm out of the city, I'm out in the open road. This
Cow
feels
dung.
right.
Yeah, cow dung.
So the sense that you get, the sensations that you get when you're riding a bike, it tickles every aspect, majority of the aspects of the five senses that we have. And it does so from start to finish. Whether, again, once you step, once you get out of the garage and into your destination.
Okay.
So that's. I understand that the safety is talo yung bike.
Yeah.
Luggage compartment. Hey, you can make do, right? You can simplify things. You can simplify things. Maybe not bring as many clothes, not bring as many shoes. Just limit it. I've been able to go to Baguio for 3 days with one bag.
Side A, side B.
No naman. Medyo small naman yung brief eh. So you can you can pack like 3 and you'd be okay. So you're talking about it's almost if there's something that I've learned during this pandemic is that we don't need a lot of things in life. You know, you don't need honestly, I was living in excess with so many pairs of shoes, so many, different whatever, all these different things.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see a parallel with bikes as well, because I don't need all these things that a car would offer.
Mm-hmm.
I can live a little bit of a simpler life, whether it's to pack less stuff or even just have less options, or what is that word I'm looking for? But less things that a car offers. I mean, I don't need all of that. But but I think it's riding a bike is a lot simpler than it is a car, and it's a lot more enjoyable. If that makes any sense whatsoever.
Well, I have to say no, it doesn't, because I enjoy cars more. But of course, obviously, it does. The one thing that I will give it to motorcycles, though, the one thing that it, not even an argument, fuel consumption.
Sure.
Obviously.
Yeah.
You cannot argue with a machine that will only consume, say, 4 or 5 liters of fuel that will get you.
Yeah, it depends what bike, but sure.
But let's just say, for argument's sake, that 4 or 5 liters of fuel will get you over 100 kilometers. Whereas, the 4 or 5 liters of fuel inside a car, at best, when you're coasting and whatnot, will get you, 40, 50 kilometers.
If you're lucky, yeah.
If you're lucky. So yeah, I'll give it to the motorcycles on that fuel consumption is definitely, it's almost insignificant, I would think. When you go to the pump and they say, okay, gasoline prices are going to rise by, let's say, $1.50.
Yeah.
Now, if you're only thinking about the motorcycle on its own, whether it be just again for traveling out of town, then it's almost insignificant, because the amount of fuel that you consume is just so tiny.
Yeah.
That you'd have enough money to, I don't know, buy yourself a 458 with the amount of savings that you have from purchasing fuel for a motorcycle.
Yeah. Okay. So the fuel, right? So on my bike, it's 14 liters.
Yeah.
And that's about roughly on a, 700 pesos?
Mm-hmm.
Full tank?
Mm-hmm.
How much would the car be?
Where our Montero fuel capacity is about 65 liters, I think 65, 70 liters. So even if it's a diesel, you're looking at about $2,000.
Yeah.
So there's that. You win.
Yeah.
Hands
Yeah.
down.
Right. So the fuel consumption. So where are we at? So you have the safety. That's yours. I'll give that to you.
Yeah.
You have the what else?
Comfort. Dude, you gotta give me comfort. I'm not saying it. But okay, so the experience. I'm just the absolute comfort of it.
I would put comfort and thrill against each other. Right? The joy.
Okay.
So what would you choose? I guess you choose the comfort. But for other people out there,
there is joy in comfort.
I suppose you can argue that. But there's just so much enjoyment with the thrill. So that's what we're arguing. We're going in circles here, because that ultimately, you fine. The fuel consumption, I win.
Yeah. Cargo, I win.
Cargo, okay, fine. That's arguable, but you can.
How is it arguable?
Because I know
if you decide to bring home a Christmas tree, you're gonna strap it on your back?
Who's gonna do that? But except if you're gonna bring golf clubs, right? I can't bring golf clubs.
Yeah.
But I can bring change of clothes, and
I can bring
water
change
bottle.
of clothes and an ironing board and an iron at the same time if I wanted to.
But would you really do that on a
No, you wouldn't.
On
But the
an-
point is that I can't.
fine. So, but ultimately, I think what this really boils down to the most, this little debate of ours, is thrill versus comfort.
Thrill versus
That's
comfort.
if you break it down all the way to its core, those are the two things that are polar opposites, but one would be more towards the bike, one would be more towards the car.
Okay.
And it really, I guess, at this point, it really depends on what kind of person you are and why you're doing that trip. Because, okay, if I were to, I don't know, go meet with my family, and when we get to the location, I'll be the one who needs to drive around. Maybe I will take my car,
Okay.
right? So there's that factor as well. But if I'm just going on my own, and I just want to get away by myself or meet up with some other friends who are there already, I take the bike. And it's not okay. I'll say it this way. I would never plan a trip because of my car or because of I want to take a car here.
True. Okay. That I completely get.
Whereas I would plan to go to Baguio or go even further, go around the Philippines because of a bike.
But that's a downfall already on its own.
Why?
Because when it comes to a motorcycle, it's a plan. It's planned that you're going to do this and whatnot. In a car, you can just get in it and go. You
Well-
can in a bike.
Yeah.
But there are less things that you need to worry about and think about if you just jump into a car and go.
Okay. See, my argument to that is this. I was in Clark with a friend. We were both riding there. And we took the wrong exit stupidly. And we found ourselves, we were supposed to go back to Manila. And we found ourselves on SCTEX heading towards Subic. Did we care? No, we didn't. We just said, "Oh, cool. Let's keep on going." And then we're like, "Should we exit here, make a U-turn?" No, let's go one more. You know, it's that. It's almost as if you keep on wanting more. In the car, if I took the wrong exit in the car, I'd be like, "Damn it. We're gonna gastos na naman to," or "Great, we're gonna use up more gas," or "Damn it, I want to get," it's almost as if you can't wait to get to the destination. Whereas in a bike, you're just like, "Cool, I'm here right now, this moment I'm in. That's what matters. And when we get to the destination, we'll get to the destination."
I hear that. I completely hear that. Okay, I kind of have to agree with you with the whole wrong exit
Yeah.
thing, because if that happens here in this country, in the Philippines, yeah, because you know the amount of traffic that you're going to have to go through, and it is definitely a hassle. However, oddly enough, this one particular thing, this wrong exit, actually happened to me while we were driving in Dubai. So we were inside a patrol, and we missed our exit, and we had to bust a U-turn at the end of the exit, and the exit took us maybe about 50 or 60 kilometers out of the way. But we didn't mind at all because the speed limit was 160 kilometers per hour. So it's not really a hassle. So sorry, not Dubai. But I think we were in Abu Dhabi,
yeah.
heading towards Dubai or something to that effect. But it was Jason Tulio and I from Top Gear inside the car, and we didn't mind. We missed the exit, and we were like, "Oops, okay, no problem." Just kept going, put it on cruise control at 160 kilometers per hour, and just went. So that I guess it depends on where you are. So the wrong exit thing, I'll
Okay.
give it to you because we are talking about the Philippines.
Yeah.
Either way, but in the manner that that wrong exit, you're saying that you don't mind. It's because you're visualizing this in a manner that you're on a motorcycle, the wind's hitting you all the time. And as Jack brought up earlier, that it really depends on what particular automobile you're in. to feel that experience that you're getting on a motorcycle. Now, you don't necessarily have to be, as you pointed out, in a Vios. You don't necessarily have to be.
By the way, I love Vios. It's just the point.
Yes, because we know that you race them. We do that. So you don't necessarily just have to be in or something even smaller, like a Wigo. I'm not, imagine traveling, 100 kilometers per hour on the highway in the Wigo is actually pretty exciting on its own. just letting you know. We've never done it. I'm not saying that we have or exceeded that, but point is that you don't necessarily. You're thinking in terms of a motorcycle, just. Be it your XSR that you're talking about, the excitement of it, the sound of the XSR. But what about automobiles that can give you the same experience as well? It doesn't have to be a four-door sedan. Like we mentioned earlier, it could be a sports car. Could be a ragtop where you put it down when you get out of the city and feel the wind pushing up against you. You can still smell the cow dung in a ragtop when you put it down, right? In fact, inside the car, you don't even have to put down the ragtop because the smell comes into your air conditioning system and then it stays inside the car.
Yeah.
Why am I still on dung? I have no idea. But you understand what I'm
trying? No, okay.
I am full of it. It's very, very warm inside my body. But basically, you can experience it because you got to give me this. There are more options for your thrill and excitement inside an automobile simply because of the lineup that you have.
Sure.
A motorcycle is just that. It's two wheels and wind. Unless, like you mentioned previously, unless you're in a gull wing that comes with a shower in the back and a windshield that's as big as Jack in front of you that's shielding you from all the bugs that are coming your way. But in a car, you've got, shall we say, more options.
Okay. So you definitely get more options in a car. But like I said earlier, you're limited because of the speed that you can go. Right? Mm-hmm. So if you're in a Supra or a Wigo, you're limited to how fast and how much thrill you can have because of the speed limit.
That's true, but in that particular speed limit, when you go 100 kilometers per hour in a Wigo and 100 kilometers per hour, let's say for example in a Miata with the top down, or 100 kilometers per hour in a in a Stinger, these are three different cars that will give you three very different experiences.
Yeah,
and you could quite possibly choose.
Yeah, so it's the same on a bike, right? So if you're going on a adventure bike, whether it's the KTM 790 Adventure, or let's say a sport bike, the sensation that you get is very different. But it's still exponentially more joyful than it is to be on a car. That's just my opinion, obviously. So
there is truth to it, though.
You know what I mean? So you can weave in and out of traffic and go a little bit faster on a. Actually, the adventure bikes can keep up with some of the sport bikes. It's just that because if you're in an upright position, you're gonna feel that wind. Even with the windshield up, you're gonna feel it a little bit more than you would on a sport bike.
Yes.
But having said that, so the sensation is different also for the different type of bikes out there. So if whether you're in a naked or a sport bike or an adventure bike or a cruiser, it's all different. The same way it's different for if you're on a compact, on a sports car or an SUV.
Yeah.
So so the sensation is all different from the different types of cars, and it's all different from the different types of bikes. But I still will go back to the fun factor, the thrill on whether you're on a naked, a sport, a cruiser, an adventure, or whatever. It's still, for me, just much more enjoyable. At the end of the day, it's just much more enjoyable because you're there for the journey and the destination is actually just gravy. That's why you see so many people on bikes that will ride out for an hour, 2 hours.
Just to get a bloody cup of coffee.
Just to get a free coffee.
Free pa!
Oh, free coffee pa. Like Earl.
Cheap.
Earl will ride up to Tagaytay.
That guy knows cheap.
To have free coffee. Do some work and then ride back down. It's about the ride.
Alam mo may 3-in-1 sa opisina. Huwag ka na lumabas.
But they won't have that 3-in-1 in the cold weather of Tagaytay.
Yes.
Aircon naman yung opisina. Ano problema mo?
Yes. So that's what I'm saying, right? So Earl will ride out to Gourmet Farms for their free coffee in the morning and then go back home. You don't do that with a car.
You can bleep this out for all I care. Earl, you cheap motherfucker.
Earl will spend money for the toll, for the gas,
But he won't
but
spend
he won't spend for the coffee.
50 pesos for the coffee. That's too much for him.
I would put it, and then that's another thing, right? So I would gladly pay the toll and gas on a bike than I would on a car. I get frustrated when I have to fill up my car with gas and when I have to pay toll with my car. With on my bike, I'm just like, cool, whatever.
Okay, no problem.
This is my ticket to enjoyment.
And dude, 500 pesos on a bike can get you so far.
Yes.
$500 on a bike can get you very far. So, okay, to somewhat wrap things up, I will say that the motorcycles, in your opinion, give a more thrilling experience.
Yes, a sensational experience.
Whereas an automobile, that's obviously, you can still get a thrilling experience, but it's not necessarily the same because, as your argument points out, that 100 kilometers per hour on a motorcycle is incomparable to 100 kilometers per hour in a car, whether you're in a ragtop, whether you're on a Vespa, whether you're on an underbone, or whether you're on a cruiser, or sorry,
adventure cruiser. Yeah.
Okay.
Sport naked.
Okay. Whereas the car will it gives you that bit more of safety.
Yeah.
The whole getting back to point A after you've gone to point B, C,
Yes.
and D
Yeah.
can get you back with a lot more higher probability of nothing happening to you than on a motorcycle.
Sure.
Okay. Now, here's the twist of today's mini debate, as Gino and I will put it. See, we both know mostly about cars, and we also have a lot of experience with motorcycles ourselves. So now we're going to turn the tables around and see if Gino can convince either myself or himself.
Yeah, I have to convince myself more maybe than you.
Yeah. So I have to convince myself that the motorcycle is probably a better way to go when you're going out of town for a quick trip, whether it be overnight or just for the day. And Gino will have to do the same for an automobile. Now, that automobile obviously doesn't necessarily need to be a 1 liter 2-door or a 5 liter 2-door or a 5-seater, 7-seater SUV or whatnot. The possibilities are endless. Same with the motorcycles, I guess. The possibilities are endless. You don't necessarily have to be stuck on a 125, 150cc engine. You could be stuck with a 1,100cc engine.
Sure.
That goes from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in, oh my God.
Yeah. Why don't you go first?
Okay.
Yeah.
So, am I single?
And ready to mingle.
If I continue this conversation as such and my wife hears this, I will be single, unfortunately. But let's just say that yes, I don't think I'd have a hard time convincing myself that taking a motorcycle out of the city would be a heck of a lot more fun than a car, simply because of the acceleration factor.
Yeah.
I love the acceleration, the fact that in a car, you depending on what car, obviously, but you can accelerate and get to a certain speed. Let's just call it at 100 kilometers per hour. But then, like you pointed out earlier, it's not as grunty as being on a motorcycle. You know, it's in a car when you bury the throttle, you get buried in the seat. Whereas on a motorcycle rather, when you twist it, the wind that's pushing up against you, it's a different feeling.
Yeah.
You know, it's not exactly a different from push and pull kind of a thing. They're both, it's somewhat of a push as well. But on a motorcycle, the acceleration, I think, is what gets me the most. And it doesn't necessarily have to be out of town, because you could be in a stoplight on an underbone or even my Vespa, and the fact that you throttle it when you see the green light and the intersection's clear and you get ahead of everyone, and there's that rush that you get to it. And what more if you're able to do that on a highway? So there's that factor. And ultimately, it's in a car, you have your thoughts with you. You can be listening to music and in a safe environment, so to speak. On a motorcycle, you do have to be concentrated a lot more.
Yeah.
But when you're concentrated, I find that you can concentrate on other things as well, not just the ride.
Yeah.
But if you're more alone with your thoughts, I don't know, maybe it's because of the enclosement of the helmet. and the wind, the drowning noise of the wind that's passing through your helmet and kind of a thing. It gives you some time to, explore other things that you might not be able to in a noisy environment, so to speak. So there's a little bit of a calmness, I say, to it. So there's the push, the rush, and then it's also coupled with calmness. It's kind of hard to explain.
Okay, to help out your argument there, I when I'm on a bike, it's actually a Zen moment for me.
A Zen moment.
Yes, it's kind of like I'm meditating. It's kind of like it's me. It's just it's me and my thoughts, and it's me and my concentrating on, because you're fully focused on what you're doing.
Yeah.
And that's the only time when that's the only time when I'm just concentrating on on riding.
Yeah.
And all the other thoughts, whether it's negative or whatever. So it is a mental strength exercise for me.
Wouldn't it be easier for you though in a car?
But the thing is, in a car, you're alone in your thoughts, and then you kind of tend to drift a little bit more. So I'm fully focused on a bike. On a car, I'm not. In a car, I know I'm supposed to argue now on the side of the cars, but
It's very difficult.
it is very difficult for me. But I'll say this: so let me argue about the side of the car, all right?
Okay.
Taking a car out of town.
Okay.
You mentioned, it's more luxurious, it's more comfortable, all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
And that's what I want to focus on, because in a car you can fully appreciate, the leather seats. You can fully appreciate the feel of the leather wrapped around the steering wheel. You can appreciate the infotainment system.
Yeah.
You can play around with it. You can look at the navigation, or some cars have my car is Netflix. You can actually watch Netflix.
Not the best idea.
Yeah,
but-
or you can have it play in the background.
Yeah.
Right? And glance at it every so often. You can listen to this podcast and be fully focused on listening to Torque of the Town.
Somebody say hard sell.
Basically, you can experience this level of luxury that you can't on a bike.
Yeah, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you feel like you're in first class, whereas in a bike you feel like you're hanging on the wing of a plane.
Ah. Okay.
So that would be my I guess main argument for taking a car that rather than taking a bike, to be able to enjoy luxury more so. In a car, if I get hungry, I can go get some food
And eat while driving.
and eat while driving.
That's right.
I can drink coffee or soda or water.
On a bike, I can get a camel pack,
Yeah, but
right?
you can't eat. How can you eat when on a bike?
But the chewing gum.
So there's that level of, I guess, luxury that the car offers that a bike cannot, and that would be the one factor, or the main factor, aside from the safety, that would make me consider taking a car out of town instead of a bike.
We could go on from now until
Yeah.
the cows come home and try to figure out exactly which particular ride is better for you or better for each other. But I guess it's all obviously personal preference.
Yeah, it is.
And the beauty about it is that it's not a hard sell, but you can get both, either motorcycles or cars, on AutoDeal.com.ph or MotoDeal.com.ph. Now we're gonna wrap this up by I'm gonna ask Jinno one final question. We're obviously he's gonna be on the side of bikes, and I'm gonna be on the side of cars. Your final argument why bikes are better?
It's not just a destination, it's a journey as well. I think that's the main thing about it. The enjoyment of getting on, your bike and just going, and then worrying about the destination later on.
My final argument for why cars are obviously better, aside from the fact that you've got cargo space, you've got less worries, you're shielded from everything. My wife says no, and that's it. That's my closing argument, because the wife said no to motorcycles. That's it.
Okay.
This has been Torque of the Town. For more updates, follow us on our social media pages, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and of course our pages, AutoDeal.com.ph and MotorDeal.com.ph. Thanks for joining us. See you Wednesdays at 10 a.m.
This has been Torque of the Town, a podcast produced by AutoDeal and MotoDeal. To learn more about our products and services, head on over to AutoDeal.com.ph and MotoDeal.com.ph, as well as our social media pages, and of course, our YouTube channels. Torque of the Town is powered by Podcast Network Asia and Podmetrics. See you Wednesdays at 10 a.m.
The views and opinions expressed by the podcast creators, hosts, and guests do not necessarily reflect the official policy and position of Podcast Network Asia. Any content provided by the people on the podcast are of their own opinion and are not intended to malign any religion, ethnic group, club, organization, company, individual, or anyone or anything.